But instead, even at that early age, became an avid reader of both Bengali and English books. In fact, everything was grist to the mill: prose, poetry, books, magazines, even thongas or paper bags. At 4.5 years, on our trip to Kashmir, he looked down at the Chenab raging through a gorge and quoted Tagore. মনে হচ্ছে যদি মাতে মহাকাল উদ্দাম জটা জাল ঝড়ে হয় লুণ্ঠিত ঢেউ ওঠে উত্তাল. At one point in Delhi, we sisters came back to Kolkata to rejoin Loreto House, and Ronju was alone with Ma and Baba. So whenever Baba traveled, Ma and Ronju would accompany him. On one such trip, they went to Benares in the height of summer, and visited an old lady with an equally old maidservant for company. The household was very sparse, and when Ronju asked for water, they gave him tepid water straight from the tap. Ma was absolutely mortified when Ronju objected. Hum nal ka pani nahi pita, hum frigidaire ka pani pita. Then another time, they went to Rupu Pishi's house in Nagpur. Ronju chatted with her, telling her that all their provisions in Delhi, including aloo and potol, came from the parliament. Rupu Pishi shot back, "Tui to bhishon chal maris?" That came Ronju's reply, "Ha, amader basmati chal." Because of his wide reading and proximity to nature in Digha and Jharkhand, a whole new world opened up for him. The natural curiosity and love of learning made him study everything around him, from birds and animals and reptiles to trees and bushes and creepers and even weeds. In fact, to Mitali's consternation, he wouldn't let the grounds of Niribili be cleared after a tornado flattened a large part of it. As little plants and weeds started to engulf everything, he'd study them and find out about them, their medicinal values or other uses. Niribili made him so happy, and I'm glad he took the decision to spend his retirement there. And thank you, Mitali, for being so supportive of his decision.
Okay, I'll just continue for a short while. We're going to cover the three places where we spent our childhood: Circus Avenue, then Digha and Jharkhand. Okay, so in Circus, we cousins were so close that when a couple of us got the mumps, we were put into quarantine. The others tried to catch the virus so that we could join with the fun and games in the two quarantine rooms next to the marble staircase at Circus Avenue. Also, at that time, all the four sisters were so envious of Ronju's long eyelashes, wasted on a boy, they thought. Now I hand it over to Pinchu for her memories. Pinchu.
As a boy, Ronju was very quiet, so very quiet that even I, reputed to be the most quarrelsome of all the siblings, failed to provoke him in any way. Actually, his world was the world of books. From a very early age, about 4, I think, he could read very fluently. And he would eagerly listen to all the stories Ma told us and to all the poems she recited to us. He read avidly in English and Bangla, and he was very good at puns. And this, I think, he developed out of reading Shibram Chakraborty, a Bengali writer famous for his humor. Sorry. One thing about Ronju was that he did things very differently. The first essay he wrote was one on my mother. And when he had just started writing it, when he had more or less written it, my mother told him, is that all you can say about me? The usual thing, that her name is this and she's married to such and such person. So he rewrote the essay and he did it so beautifully. It included sentences, he was tiny then, but it included sentences like, my mother is a very good cook, second only to my grandmother. And sometimes she's so sarcastic, she makes my blood boil. And if you told him to write an essay on a cow, he would write it so beautifully that you would feel like reading it out to everybody. In fact, when he was filling up his form for NID, I had the privilege, I would say now, I had the privilege of watching him. And so far as I remember, there were some options in the form regarding occupation. And next to housewife, he had written or rather drawn stars and string ties and exclamation marks like we used to see in comic books. And I said to myself, that boy will never get in. He will never get admission. But he did.
Okay, now I'll take over. I'll just say a few words about the other two places, Digha and Jhargram. We were all studying in St. Xavier's and Loreto, as Murki said. Those days, the school year started in January and ended in December. A much more sensible arrangement, and we had to swat for the finals in the cool of the winter, not in the height of summer like nowadays. So, instead of long, hot summer vacations stretching for about 2.5 months, we enjoyed 4 vacations. Easter 1 week, summer holidays 1 month, pujas and Diwalis 2 weeks, and 1 month winter spanning Christmas and the New Year. All 9 cousins with Dadu and Didima and 2 sets of parents used to enjoy our vacations at Easter was Digha. In the late 50s and early 60s, we used to have a wide expanse of beach. Both the beach, sometimes the beach was swept in, in countless red crabs foraging for food. Ronju used to excitedly examine them, leaving a trail of bare sand along the path where the creatures of his scrutiny scurried away. I remember Ronju's oar as a puffer fish from which was stranded in the beach blew up into a ball when poked with the stick. Winter was Salboni colony, which we erroneously refer as Jhargram. As there was no electricity or fans, winter used to be the best time for enjoying the rural settings. In addition, Dado used to get Christmas hampers from his well-heeled plants, which all of us used to gleefully explore. Ronjo and Vedu were very small, but even those years, Ronjo's compassion for animals was evident. Once, one of Dadu's clients gave 2 live ducks to be had for Christmas dinner. Ronju refused and refused to get the ducks, and I think he brought them back to Calcutta to Circus Avenue. Summer was too hot to go to either places, though we did manage Diva trips as the constant stiff sea breeze helped. Uh, Ronju probably got his witty persona from devouring the comics we used to buy at A.H. Wheeler at the Howrah station prior to boarding the Mumbai bound trains which stopped at Jhargram. Now I hand it over to Gorky again. Sorry, Gogol again.
Yeah. So actually, right now we were expecting somebody from St. Xavier's. Is there anybody here from St. Xavier's? Because Ronju, as you know, spent his education at St. Xavier's, one of the schools. Is there anybody from St. Xavier's who's here currently? Okay, then we move on to part of our education. And much of our education didn't happen only in Sinzebis. It happened through songs and music, often on the beaches of Digha. I remember that many of the things that we learned was actually probably through songs, a variety of songs. Um, Bhedu, I'll tell you one thing, that my leftist education happened from a particular song. And as soon as Bhedu starts that song, you'll understand why my leftist education. So what would happen is that we cousins would go to Digha, and from Tilapila Digha to Mohana was at least about, what, 2.5 kilometers, Ruma? What was it? It was about that much. And throughout that time, Mama would sing songs for us, which we would listen to and get educated on. One of those songs was a perfectly nonsensical rhyme, which we delighted in, called Gingang Gilly 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 Watcha, Gingang Go, Gingang Go, Gingang Gilly 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 Watcha, Gingang Go, Gingang Go. And that's the nature of the education that we got, which was a variety of languages, a variety of songs. But in that was also, Bedu, why don't you start off the song where we learned how many types of marches there were in the world?
Okay. Whirlwinds of danger are raging around us. Overwhelming forces of darkness assail. Still in the fight, see advancing before us the red flag of liberty that yet shall prevail. Then forward, freedom awaits you for all the world and the land and the sea. On with your fight for the cause of humanity. March, march, ye toilers, and the world shall be free.
And then for a long time, we would then sing March, 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 Ilish, March, Rui, March, Chingri, March, Pabda, March, and we would narrate as many possible marches that were possible. And so education in biology and leftist philosophy happen simultaneously. Okay. Does anybody else want to share a quick story about Ronju's childhood? Good. We've got sections that we've got. I'm just going to check whether anybody from Sinzabius is in, because that Sinzabius was definitely part of Ronju's childhood. Gogol, shall we move on to the next bit?
I think that there's a song there. Let's
Which one?
Amar Mukti Aloy Aloy.
Okay.
That Buyo Divi, Pishis, and the Pishis are put together.
Oh, okay, great. So let's do that.
Yeah.
That's with you, Manda. Is that with you, Amar Mukti Aloy? Gogol, do you have it to play?
Okay.
To share? We haven't
not on my phone.
So, yeah, we haven't been to download that as yet.
Okay. So let's move on then.
Okay.
One interesting thing that's happened today is that today morning, Shobita, who is this lady who works in Niribili, so she comes and she tells Ma, Dada phire eseche. As in Dada has come back. The Ma, Didi, Dada phire eseche. And Ma was surprised what she meant by that. And so what's happened is, Kukumoni or Cookie, who's our dog, so she has given birth to 7 puppies today. So Shobita thought that, to people here, they feel like Baba has come back through those little puppies. So
that's delightful.
Yeah. Anyhow.
here you have something which is definitely from, well, this is the kind of family that we grew up in, full of song, full of music, full of education of all kinds.
So moving on, we move into the next part of Baba's life after childhood, which
Presidency.
is Presidency College. I hand over the reins of the program
Yeah, sure.
to.
So Paramita is here, but there's quite
Mukti here.
sorry.